For weeks now, we have been watching a frantic scramble, a desperate hunt that has consumed some of the most powerful players in town. I am talking, of course, about Jack Brennan, Nina Reeves, and Willow Kane, and their relentless search for that missing black briefcase. The narrative we are being spoon-fed by the writers is that this box contains the ultimate blackmail material against Drew Kane. We are supposed to believe that this single file is the key to freeing Willow from Drew's manipulative grasp. But guys, something isn't adding up anymore. If you look closely at the moving pieces on the board, you will start to feel that we are all being deliberately misdirected by the powers that be. Let's take a step back and look at the situation objectively. A new detail could expose the truth about what is really going on here. The clue lies in the behavior of Jack Brennan himself. Think about who this man is. Brennan is a highly trained, deeply experienced former head of the WSB. He is a man who has orchestrated global espionage, handled international crises, and stared down the most dangerous criminals on the planet without breaking a sweat. Yet, over a box supposedly containing some corporate or personal dirt on Drew Kane, Brennan is exhibiting a level of panic that is completely out of character. Why would a man with his pedigree risk everything, push his allies to the brink, and scramble like a cornered animal just to secure leverage over a local businessman? It may not be a coincidence that his desperation feels entirely disproportionate to the stated prize. If you ask me, the sheer terror radiating from Brennan suggests that the black box holds something infinitely more valuable and infinitely more dangerous than anything related to Drew Kane. That's where things become interesting. Let's look at the theft itself. The man in black who appeared out of nowhere to snatch that briefcase was an absolute ghost. He didn't leave a single trace, he didn't make a sound, and his movements were terrifyingly precise. He wasn't a common street thug or a low-level mob enforcer. The posture, the stealth, the absolute professionalism of the execution point directly to one man currently residing in Port Charles, Valentine Cassadine. Valentine is one of the very few people with the elite, specialized espionage training required to pull off a heist of that caliber right under the noses of seasoned operatives. This could explain a lot about Valentine's recent behavior. We already know from the internal chatter that Valentine recently presented a mysterious black box to Carly Spencer. He told her a very convenient story, claiming that the box belonged to the deceased Ross Cullum and that he intended to sell it back to the WSB for a massive payday. But what if that is a complete fabricated lie? What if Valentine is the thief in black and the box he is holding is actually Jack Brennan's stolen briefcase? Valentine is a master manipulator. He knows exactly what to say to keep Carly off his scent, especially since Sonny Corinthos has enlisted Brick to actively sabotage their romance. Valentine needs Carly to trust him implicitly, so he feeds her a half-truth to keep her pacified. But here is the massive catch. If Valentine has the box, why hasn't he used the information inside it yet? While Brennan, Nina, and Willow are losing their minds searching every corner of Port Charles, Valentine is likely sitting in the shadows quietly studying his prize. And I suspect he has quickly realized he has a massive, insurmountable problem on his hands. Valentine may have stolen the box, but he doesn't know what is inside it, and more importantly, he cannot open it. Jack Brennan is a former WSB director. He isn't going to secure his most prized possessions with a simple padlock or a generic 4-digit PIN code. I believe that Brennan's black box is a technological fortress. We are talking about military-grade, multi-layered encryption. It likely requires complex biometric scans, retinal recognition, and cryptographic keys that only Brennan possesses. But there may be more to this story. A man like Brennan doesn't just lock his secrets away, he protects them with lethal force. I strongly suspect that the briefcase is rigged with a highly sophisticated self-destruct mechanism. If someone tries to force the lock, enter the wrong code too many times, or tamper with the physical hinges, the box won't just silently erase the data. I wouldn't be surprised if Brennan installed a micro-explosive device inside the casing. One wrong move, and the box detonates, incinerating the evidence and severely injuring or killing whoever is trying to open it. Valentine is a calculated risk taker, but he isn't stupid. He knows he cannot brute force his way into that briefcase without losing a hand, or worse, his life. So, what does a brilliant tactician like Valentine Cassadine do when he hits an impenetrable wall? He seeks out an alliance. And in this specific scenario, I believe he will turn to the one man in Port Charles who has the resources and the underworld connections to help him, Sonny Corinthos. Now, I know exactly what you are thinking. Sonny hates Valentine right now. Sonny literally just hired Brick to dig up dirt on Valentine to ruin his relationship with Carly Spencer. But Sonny is also a fierce pragmatist. If Valentine approaches Sonny under the cover of darkness and reveals that he has a locked WSB vault that could contain leverage to protect both of their empires, Sonny will absolutely listen. Sonny understands the unparalleled value of actionable intelligence. Valentine understands the espionage and the high stakes. But even together, they lack the specific technical genius required to bypass Brennan's lethal encryption. That is exactly why they will need to bring in a third party. And guys, this is the perfect opportunity for the writers to bring Damian Spinelli back to the absolute forefront of the narrative. Spinelli is Port Charles's resident cyber genius, a hacker extraordinaire who has broken into federal databases, bypassed WSB firewalls, and cracked systems that were deemed entirely impenetrable by the government. If there is a single person on this planet capable of surgically disarming Brennan's digital and physical booby traps without triggering an explosion or a catastrophic data wipe, it is the Jackal. This creates an incredibly fascinating, unexpected trio: the ruthless mob boss, the former spy, and the eccentric hacker, all working in secret to pry open Pandora's box. Sonny will provide the secure, off-the-grid location, likely a heavily guarded safe house where no one can track them. Valentine will provide the briefcase and the tactical oversight. Spinelli will provide the unparalleled technical expertise. Spinelli will have to isolate the briefcase in a Faraday cage, meticulously bypassing the biometric sensors with forged digital handshakes, and painstakingly rewriting the self-destruct code line by line, while the physical temperature of the box threatens to trigger the micro-explosive. The tension in that room will be thick enough to cut with a knife as Spinelli carefully navigates the lethal encryption. But the real shock, the moment that will truly shift the foundation of General Hospital, will happen the second that lid finally pops open. When the decryption finishes and the screen lights up, they are going to realize that they have stumbled into a waking nightmare. The bigger question is, what exactly was Jack Brennan guarding with his life? As they scroll through the decrypted files, they will quickly realize that the evidence against Drew Kane is nothing more than a footnote. It is a tiny, insignificant drop in an ocean of devastating secrets. I believe this box is Jack Brennan's ultimate life insurance policy. Over his years of operating in the darkest shadows of the intelligence community, Brennan has meticulously compiled a massive, encrypted database of every dirty deed, every hidden crime, and every buried scandal in Port Charles and beyond. This isn't just a file. It is a weapon of mass destruction aimed directly at the heart of the city. Imagine the sheer horror on Sonny's face when he sees detailed, irrefutable evidence of his own money laundering operations, his offshore accounts, and hits he ordered years ago. Sonny, a man who prides himself on absolute control, will feel the walls closing in as he reads transcripts of conversations he thought were securely encrypted a decade ago. Imagine Valentin's blood running cold as he uncovers unredacted files detailing his unauthorized wet work, his illegal arms deals, and his darkest Cassadine secrets that he thought were buried forever. Imagine Spinelli's sheer panic as he finds a comprehensive log of every federal server he has ever illegally breached, containing enough hard evidence to lock him in a dark federal hole for the rest of his natural life. And it won't stop there. The box will likely contain highly classified dossiers on Anna Devane, Jens Sidwell, Jack Brennan himself, and dozens of other powerful figures. It is a treasure trove of blackmail that could systematically destroy nearly every prominent resident of Port Charles. But even that is not the bottom of the rabbit hole. Something feels off about Brennan's tenure at the WSB, and I think the deepest, most heavily encrypted partition of that drive will contain the WSB's most guarded, blood-soaked secrets. We are talking about the true, unvarnished history of the intelligence agency, logs of unsanctioned political assassinations. We are talking about regime changes orchestrated in the dead of night, the funding of shadow militias, and the systematic elimination of whistleblowers who got too close to the truth. Records of illegal psychological experiments, lists of deep cover sleeper agents embedded in foreign governments, and most dangerously of all, I believe the box contains the true, unredacted identity and operational history of the mysterious WSB head known only as Z. If these WSB files were to ever see the light of day, the fallout would be absolutely apocalyptic. The agency would face international sanctions, its leadership would be hunted down for war crimes, and the entire organization could face a total catastrophic collapse. This is exactly why Brennan was willing to kill to keep it safe. It is the ultimate leverage to ensure he is never crossed. And now it is sitting right in the hands of Sonny Corinthos, Valentine Cassadine, and Damian Spinelli. When the sheer magnitude of what they possess finally sinks in, a massive, explosive debate is going to erupt in that safe house. Sonny, acting on his pure instinct for self-preservation, will immediately demand that Spinelli permanently delete every single file related to his organization. Valentine, equally compromised, will likely agree that their personal files need to be wiped from existence before anyone else can see them. Spinelli will be caught in an agonizing moral dilemma. He knows that deleting the data protects his friends and himself, but it also means actively covering up decades of horrific crimes, assassinations, and global corruption. The ethical weight of that decision will be crushing for a man who generally tries to do the right thing. However, before anyone hits the delete key, Valentine's tactical mind will see the bigger picture. They cannot just destroy this leverage. They are all currently under immense pressure from various enemies, especially the WSB and Z, who has been aggressively pulling strings in Port Charles and treating them like pawn. Valentine will realize that this box is the ultimate bargaining chip. They don't need to leak the information, they just need Z to know that they have it. This sets the stage for one of the most high-stakes standoffs in General Hospital history. Sonny and Valentine will initiate a shadow negotiation with Z and the upper echelon of the WSB. Their terms will be absolute and completely non-negotiable. The WSB must immediately cease all hostile operations against them. All outstanding warrants must be permanently erased. All ongoing investigations must be closed, and the WSB must turn a blind eye to their operations in Port Charles. In exchange for this total immunity, the contents of Brennan's black box will remain buried forever. It is the perfect blackmail, a Mexican standoff where whoever blinks first loses everything they hold dear. But what if Z refuses to be blackmailed? What if the WSB decides to call their bluff and orders a highly trained strike team to eliminate Sonny, Valentine, and Spinelli to recover the drive by force? If Z pushes them into a corner, Sonny and Valentine will have absolutely nothing left to lose. They will understand that their only chance of survival is to flip the board completely. If the WSB attacks, Spinelli will be ordered to execute a dead man's switch, uploading the entire unredacted contents of the black box to every major news outlet and intelligence agency on the planet simultaneously. We may be looking at the beginning of something huge. The truth could be closer than anyone realizes, and the fallout will leave no one unscathed. If that data goes public, Port Charles will burn to the ground. The WSB will be torn apart by international tribunal. Brennan's life will be forfeit. Sonny and Valentine will have to fight a brutal, multi-front war for their very survival. Someone may not be ready for what's coming next, because this briefcase is no longer just a piece of evidence against Drew Kane. It is a ticking time bomb, and the countdown has already begun.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.